So, hi, my name is Sergio Javier Valverde. I'm a Chicano filmmaker, and like many of you Mexican Americans, I'm first generation. As many of you are aware, or at least I hope you're aware, there is a current rhetoric being passed around immigrants. Not just Latinos, not just brown immigrants from Mexico, but from all over the world, immigrants as a whole. And there's been a lot of violence as of late. We have neared the 50th school shooting of this year, and there's no conversation about gun laws. There's no conversation about accessible healthcare or rehabilitation for people who are mentally ill, for people who are a potential danger to others and themselves. And everything feels like it's being politicized and used to further this rhetoric of immigrants bad, left bad, fascism, is actually the left who are being mean online. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting for many of you, y también para mí. But I want to say that this is not the end. And I need to constantly remind myself, something happens every single day. There's a tragedy to behold. There's something terrible to see online. There are countless messages on Twitter, YouTube comments, and Facebook, and all these videos and reels and stuff like that. And it becomes so overwhelming that you just can't get out of bed, and you just can't get these images and these thoughts out of your head about the horrendous nature of some people in this country and across the world. But there is still hope. There is still good in this world, in this country. I still believe in that. I have to believe in that. Otherwise, why am I still here? And so what's the solution, right? What is the cure to this chaos? What can we do? Do we suppress voices? Do we subjugate others? There's so many differing voices and dissenting thoughts and opinions, and so many people are trying to grab your attention. And right now, I feel like we need less attention on social media and more on the ground. We need to touch grass a little bit more. And this is just general, because a lot of people have become radicalized in very violent and scary ways. We see the rhetoric. We see our constant dehumanization. And there is no value in debating a fascist. There's no value in debating the ideas of a person that does not see you as human. There is no value in that. There is nothing to be gained. There's no one you're going to convince. You're not going to convince the other person, and you're certainly not going to convince the supporter of fascists. So what do we do? What can we do? My suggestion is not to be quiet. My suggestion is to be louder, to be heard, to continue going on the streets. But especially the most important aspect is to form community. Because I ardently believe, deeply believe, that community is the cure. Community is the cure. Because not a single one of us are alone in this. Because we're all under threat. We're all being targeted. Whether you're queer, whether you're black or brown, whether you're an immigrant, a child of immigrants, whether you are a woman in the States, it's not just gonna be people who are liberal or leftist or whatever who are gonna suffer because of the cuts to Medicaid. It isn't just Palestinians who are going to suffer because they live across the sea. No, those same tactics are being used here. They're taught to New York Police Department. There are silencing voices who mildly criticize this administration. They are labeling anti-fascist rhetoric to easily paint you as a terrorist and detain you. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We can't do something about this without being honest about the situation we're in. We can't do anything without being serious about the situation we are in. And the memification of politics and the stand culture of politicians needs to be done with. Because politicians should be served as tools, not as our leaders, not as our saviors. And neither should artists, neither should anybody. Because we can't just depend on one single person, represent an entire ethnic group. Because Latinos aren't a monolith, immigrants aren't a monolith. Immigrants come from Haiti. Immigrants come from the Middle East. Immigrants come from Europe. It's not just brown or black immigrants who are suffering under this. Even though we are disproportionately targeted, even though because I have the mustache that I do, I will more likely be pulled over and asked for my identification, asked to prove my birth. Because I have these tattoos, I will be asked more often than not questions about my existence, about the validity of my existence. Because my skin gets darker, because my hair grows longer, I will be targeted more often than not. But I still hold a ton of privilege being a US citizen and being masculine presenting in a patriarchal society. Point is, we still hold power. We still have power within our status as citizens, as our status as masculine presenting, and to not use those privileges to fight against the unjust, dehumanizing attacks on minorities, on marginalized communities, on our immigrant brothers and sisters, on our undocumented siblings, is to ignore our responsibility as citizens of the United States, as people who live in the imperial core. And to ignore the reality of the situation is to live in blissful ignorance. Because as the saying goes, first they came for the Jews, I said nothing. Then they came for the communists, then they came for the socialists, then they came for the leftists, then they came for the liberals, then they came for me. And it's not just about protecting one another for the sake of our own self-preservation. It's about protecting one another and being there for one another and forming communities because it's the right thing to do, because that's kind, because that's good, and that's what we need more of. So we have to form community. We have to protect one another. We have to be one another, there for one another. And it's not about doing that for self-preservation. Like I said, it's about caring for one another, because that's the right thing to do. That's the kind thing to do. And it's not just about having them see my art as a filmmaker, as a cineasta, as a Chicano. It's not just about that, because I don't just make films for the fucking fun of it as much as I love it. I make films because it means something to me, because I want to impact people, because I want to share my perspectives and share my experiences. And I genuinely do not give a fuck if I never make another film, if I never get the chance to, if the entirety of my immigrant brothers and sisters aren't in this country. If my siblings aren't in this country because all they simply want to do is provide for their families and are unfairly targeted at Home Depot parking lots, are being pulled over, are being stopped at gas stations, are being checked at crossroads at highways. Because at the end of the day, as an artist, it's not just my responsibility to tell stories that mean something to me. It's my responsibility as an artist to advocate for the things that matter to me, especially in places like Houston, where the film industry is still very, very small. It is all of our responsibilities to do what we can as best as we can. And that's what I've been trying to do. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. Because this is not the end. So I refuse to fall into despair. I refuse to fall into hopelessness. I refuse to fall into depression and rot in bed until they come for me. I am going to use this anger. I am going to use this heartbreak to create, not to destroy, not to attack, but to love more, better. Because that's the cure. That's the cure. Community, love, kindness. And obviously, it does not mean that we are defenseless. It does not mean that we do not prepare. We have to be there for one another. And if you live in places that you can't, there is nobody, there is spaces online you can form to talk to one another, to be there for one another. Because we need each other now more than ever. So take care of yourselves. Do what you can as best as you can. Be there for one another. And don't just sit in blissful ignorance. Don't just act as if nothing is happening. Don't just act as if, someone else is going to do it. Because if no one else is doing it, then might as well be you. And there is still hope. There is still light at the end of this tunnel. Because fascism will never, ever win. Because where there is fascism, there is resistance, there is hope, there is good in people. And we have to believe that now, more than ever. And I'm mostly just saying this for myself, because I struggled a lot today. I struggled a lot hearing the countless missing people who are in concentration camps in Florida going missing after hearing our immigrant brothers and sisters be shot and killed. And the concern are the officers who did not get harmed. And this will probably be towards the end of the video as some kind of epilogue, but just, it can be exhausting. It can be really exhausting. But I hope this is some capacity. I hope something helps. Please take care of one another. Be safe. Form communities. Create.